The Lost Mermaid-Chapter 27. Frank's perspective. The water around Frank seemed to freeze. Everything in him focused on the mermaid before him. His thoughts raced as he stared at his sister, his mind replaying the day he'd lost her. But this wasn't the young woman he'd lost so long ago. Heather had grown into a woman, and she was alive. After another stretch of unbearable silence, Frank spoke. "How can this be?" His voice grew stronger. "How are you here?" She smiled softly, looking at him. "Mermaids rescued me." For a moment, he was transported back to when he was 17, shocked and incredulous. The sight of her smile was exactly as he remembered it, and it stirred up the pain of losing her. Even though so much time had passed, it felt like he had lost her only yesterday. Frank's voice trembled as he asked, "Why didn't you come home?" Heather's smile vanished as she replied, "I am sorry, Frank. I have been transformed into a mermaid permanently. I cannot walk on land anymore. If I made myself known, it could put the pod in danger." He found it difficult to process everything that had been revealed to him. His mind was overwhelmed by the day's events. His daughter had run away and transformed into a mermaid. His supposedly dead sister was alive, and to add to that, he had somehow managed to stay alive in treacherous waters. He shut his eyes and took a deep breath, attempting to calm his whirling thoughts. Heather touched his arm gently, face brightening. "'Tis all right, Frank. I am happy here. I have a family and a life here. I have always wished thou could meet my husband, Aaron, and now thou art here. Thou will like him. And my youngest son, Blue. He has always reminded me of thee. Will thou come to meet them?" I can't." Frank shook himself. "I have to get back to my sons. They'll be looking for us." Heather's face fell. "Oh, I see." Frank put a hand on her shoulder. "I still can't believe it's you," he whispered. Her eyes looked glassy, but no tears escaped as she held her emotions inside. "I have missed thee," she replied. He simply stared, then hugged her as a whimper escaped him. "Me too," he said. He kept his gaze on his sister as he swam back to Julie. She held it, hoping he would come back. As he caught up to Julie, he broke the silence with a hesitant admission. "You know, Julie, I've always thought that you look like Heather. I never mentioned it before. You remind me of her in many ways. It's been difficult for me to talk about." A lump formed in his throat as he spoke. "Anyway, it's time we head back home." He reached towards her, but she jerked away from his outstretched hand, her eyes flashing. Memories of the time he had slapped her flooded her mind, and she didn't want to risk being near him in case he tried to exert his authority over her again. "I'm not going home," she declared, her chin lifting defiantly. "What?" Frank gaped. "What do you mean you're not coming home?" "Of course you are. Julie, don't be stubborn. Let's go." Quietly yet firmly, Julie said, "I belong here. I want to stay." Frank stared at her, at a loss for words. He opened his mouth, then closed his gaping jaw. Was that really how she felt? That she belonged here? Finally, he found his voice. "You belong at home," he said gruffly. "Not here." "You don't get to decide that," she said, her voice steady and unyielding. Frank stared back, but his daughter's gaze never broke. Part of him couldn't believe he hadn't noticed how grown-up she was. He pinched the bridge of his nose. "This conversation isn't over, Julie," he said. "I'll be back. I've got to tell the boys I'm okay." He ventured out of the orb, stroking upwards, towards the distant water's surface. Emerging, he battled against the turbulent waves in search of his boys. Although stormy, a stream of moonlight broke through the curtained sky, illuminating the water. "Dad." Frank barely heard his son's cry, coming from somewhere to his left. He floundered in that direction, grateful for the medallion. He should have been beaten long before, but realized it was helping him breathe and swim better. Boys. Frank swam to the side of the boat, where he could see them leaning over the rail. Boys, listen. Dad, are you okay? Their faces were a mix of shock and relief. Jared appeared at the railing. Is Julie okay? Shane looked at his dad treading water. What happened? Frank couldn't explain everything, nor did he particularly want to. I found Julie, he said. Boys, go home, but leave the truck. Dale scoffed. What? Not on your life? The other boys nodded. I have spoken. He called back. Go home. Don't call the police or the Coast Guard. Tell Mother I found Julie and I found Heather. He dived below. The boys exchanged glances and decided they better head home, as crazy as it seemed. After all, their dad was adamant, and they always did what he said. Below them, Frank hoped the boys would listen and be safe. They were capable, but they were still boys, and things could go wrong, especially at Patrick's point. He prayed that his wife would understand and not fret. He found his sister and Julie outside the pods, Julie's arms crossed. She gave him a level look, jaw set. She was clearly serious about staying. How can I change her mind? Frank wasn't sure, but he had to keep trying. Before he could say anything, Heather said, Brother, come. To be safe here, thou must sing the songs of the sea. Then thou shalt swim safe and free. But, he stammered, I don't sing. His sister smiled. Thou have a few notes. Frank hurried after them as they swam away. Julie and Heather seemed to be following the current, barely swishing their tails. He studied Julie, noticing how different she seemed down here. Stronger, more confident. This world of mermaids was having an effect on her, and Frank wasn't sure what to think about it. They came to a halt at a spot where the ocean floor jutted into rugged rocks. Without a word, Heather motioned towards a colossal whale nestled between the rocks. She hummed a brief melody, and from behind the whale emerged Blue. Heather spoke up, Titan is the whale that belongs to my son, Blue. Titan will give thee a pleasing line. Then Julie can help thee with the words. Be careful around his flipper and fluke. If thou art not careful, it can crush thee. Heather, I don't sing. She started to reply, but broke off as Kieran, looking panicked, swam up to us. Out of breath, he gasped, Emerald's time of toil has come. She needeth thee. Heather cried, Oh my, I must away. Blue must have heard because he left the whale and rushed to us. Did I hear Emerald's babe is here? He asked. Aye, panted Kieran. Julie, Blue cried. Will thou watch Titan? I'm going to be an uncle. Laughing, Julie said, Sure. Kieran asked, Who is thy companion? Julie smiled as Frank eyed Kieran and Blue suspiciously. Let me introduce you to my dad. He's a landwalker, a teacher, and a cattleman. Blue said, It's good to meet thee. Julie exclaimed, And he's your uncle too. The young merboy was amazed. Oh, my uncle is a landwalker? I never would have imagined. Karen bowed low. It pleaseth me to make thy acquaintance. Frank wasn't sure what to say. He bowed back, looking confused as Heather hugged him and dashed away with Kieran and Blue. Julie called back, Simon, Dad. We're babysitting this mammoth? She nodded. Don't worry, Dad. He's sweet. Julie swam to Titan, Frank following behind. She threw a smile back at him. Let's tickle its belly. He loves that. Frank hesitated. Are you sure it's safe? It's fine, Dad. All right, he said warily. I'll trust you. Actually, Dad, you stay by the eye. She took off her tailband, transforming it into a mirror harp. Strum this to talk to him. I'll tickle his tummy. But I don't sing, he said. Just try. Fine, he grumped. Off to the right of the duo, A school of large yellowfish swam by, catching Julie's eye. "Hold on a second," she said, twisting her armband in a different combination. It expanded into a crossbow. She hefted it, preparing to shoot. "Careful," Frank said automatically as Julie lifted the crossbow. She rolled her eyes in amusement, excited to show off her skills. "I'm fine." She narrowed her eyes, picking a target before shooting an arrow. It sliced cleanly through the water, spearing a massive fish. The rest of the school scattered as Julie reeled in her catch, her face glowing with delight. She put the fish in her pouch to take home for supper. Frank's mouth dropped open. He was impressed. Julie had a lot of power in her pull, not to mention a perfect aim. Turning back to him, she twisted the weapon back into jewelry. She motioned to her dad as if nothing happened, encouraging him to play music. Glancing at her nervously, he strummed a merharp. A strange, lilting sound warbled from the instrument. He looked to see if Titan responded, but the whale didn't stir. Julie swam under Titan, her small frame shrinking next to the massive bull. She tickled him. The water vibrated with the sound of a low, thunderous chuckle coming from deep within the belly of the whale. Frank strummed the harp again, as Titan's heavy eyelid blinked open. He stared at Frank, then turned away, leaving the pod. This wasn't supposed to happen. Frank tried to sing but croaked. The whale swam faster. Julie swam up and asked for the instrument, which Frank gladly gave. She sang, and Titan turned back, surprising Frank. Who had Julie become? She could swim, spear, and train whales here. He'd never before seen his daughter in this light. But Titan wouldn't give them a line. "Dad, you need to befriend the whale for him to give us some music." Frank backed away. "What? Why?" "Once Titan trusts you, he will sing. Stay in his view so he knows you're friendly." Frank looked around. There was no way out of this. "Fine," he said, swimming up to Titan. Hesitantly, he brushed the whale with his hand. Floating there, touching the mammoth, he felt a kinship and bond as he had with his beloved cows. The spirit of Titan was a wise old soul. Titan crooned a tune that was simple and sweet. Frank said, "I guess I can sing the first verse. How about you do the second?" "All right," Julie said. Titan followed, adding a whale's harmony to their melody. Frank sang, "My little one, once safe on land, now a mermaid on crystal sand. I shielded you from the ocean blue. My heart aches and longs for you." Julie sang back, "Here I am, living and feeling. Here I am, soaring and skimming. The whales sing their song to me. And I, a mermaid, now swim free." Frank responded, "But won't you return to us, my dear? With our family you hold so near? We miss you, it's been too long. Will you forgive me? Our love is strong." After Frank's verse, Julie looked at her dad. Was he actually apologizing? Yes, he was. She would have to think about this. At his hand, she had experienced a lifetime of pain. With Titan's assistance, the lyrics were amplified and the pod could hear the song resonating through the vast expanse. Merfolk added lyrics, continuing the music. Every whale joined until it was a full symphony, resounding through the ocean. Frank's gaze rested on Julie as they sang, noting the serious expression on her face. He couldn't remember the last time he'd seen her so lost in thought. The song rippled and surged through the sea, enveloping everything in its melodious embrace. The mermaids swam in perfect harmony, their tails undulating in sync with the music. Frank gazed into the fathomless depths, lost in thought. This was a breathtaking place, filled with kind-hearted beings. He couldn't help but wonder if he could convince her to leave this place. As he pondered, a shadow in the distance caught his eye. Something looming in the darkness, blacker than the depths themselves. Beside him, Julie saw it too. She froze as a familiar sound echoed in the depths, her face going pale. shivers running down her spine. She snapped her eyes shut, fighting back the memories she tried so hard to forget. Doubts whispered in her mind. Then it came into view. A massive keel spear came into view distantly in the ocean valley, its long, grotesque body slithering behind a lone orca. It appeared to be in full pursuit, so they hid behind a rock outcropping, hoping it wouldn't see them. Although Frank and Julie were relatively far away, they could see one of its eyes was shut, and something was sticking out of it. "Oh my goodness. It's the same one," Julie whispered, glad she was more prepared. This time if they should meet. "What's that?" Frank darted away from the protection of Titan. Julie sang, "It's a keel spear, a sea monster. Dad, you must sing to be invisible." "Julie, it's not safe down here," he yelled, fear in his eyes. He barked in a whisper, "We need to go home." "Dad, I'm serious. Sing or you won't survive." She looked into his flashing brown eyes, clearly visible in the water. "You're visible, Dad. Sing, if you must speak." So he sang, his voice cracking. "Julie, come with me. Leave this frightful place. Let us leave this deadly sea. Let's be gone. We must race." He cast his eyes down, struggling to speak. "I can't lose you, Jules." It came out in a whisper. The keel spear turned in their direction, but they did not see it. It swam closer. She didn't know how to make her dad understand. "Dad, I miss the family, but I struggle at home. I know it's hard to understand, but I feel connected. I feel loved here." Frank looked flabbergasted. "Dad, I'm sorry. I don't want to hurt you, but I have made my decision. I'm going to stay here during the full moon." "No," Frank said, the softness fading from his voice. He shuddered and stumbled away, letting the information reverberate in his head. He couldn't believe this was happening. Julie said, "I'll be fine, Dad. I'll be with your sister." Frank was beside himself. "No, I'm not going home without you," he snapped, his fear overtaking him. "Come home now." He swam close to Julie, but she backed away. Julie's eyes flashed and her face hardened. "I can't believe this," she cried. "Are we really going back to this?" "You never listen." "That's not true," he yelled. As they argued, their invisibility faded. The keel spear swerved in the water, heading for the easy prey. Both Julie and Frank continued their bickering, unaware of anything else. Blue and Karen watched helplessly from where they swam, invisible. "We must help them," sang Karen. "We're too far away," sang Blue. "We have to try." "Julie," Blue called. Blue and Karen swam towards them, but the keel spear would intercept first. "Frank, Julie," Karen sang. "Disappear, disappear. The keel spear is coming near. Do not fear. Do not fear. Sing now, or thy time is here." Neither Julie nor Frank heard them. Blue and Kieran sang louder and swam faster, hoping they'd hear and remember to sing before it was too late. Meanwhile, Julie and Frank's angry words turned to shouts, their fury building as neither gave the other any ground. "Would you abandon your family?" Frank yelled. "Would you leave your mother and brothers? Would you leave me?" "Maybe I wouldn't if you actually cared," she screamed back. "But you don't. You don't know what it's like, Dad. You don't know what it's like." Frank fell silent, not meeting her furious stance. He had never thought about what it was like for her to be the only girl among so many boys. His brow furrowed and shoulders slumped. He had tried to protect her, but she hadn't seen it. He always knew the best course of action to take, but was beside himself about what to do with his daughter this time. It felt like 1,000-pound weight was tied around his heart, pulling him down into the depths. "If you really loved me, you'd be happy for me to stay." Julie's voice lowered slightly. but you don't care. You belong with your family, Frank said firmly. This is my family. His jaw set. You don't know what you're talking about. Aaron knows how to treat a daughter. He loves me like his own. And I love him. The water turned warm around them as the keel spear crept closer. Closer. Its mouth was open, framing them with its wickedly sharp teeth. Julie! Kieran screamed, not bothering to sing. Julie's head snapped up. She stared in horror at the keel spear. Frank followed her gaze, seeing the dark, never-ending tunnel loom, ready to swallow them whole. Frank's eyes widened. He grabbed Julie by the shoulders and shoved her away. Bubbles swirled around them. It took a moment to realize what was happening. Dad was saving her. No! Julie cried. More bubbles swirled as Kieran appeared in front of her, hurling a harpoon at the keel spear. Blue grabbed Frank, pulling him out of danger as its teeth snapped. Kieran's harpoon glanced off its thick skin, and the sea monster let out a gurgling noise. Blue shot through the water, releasing his harpoon. It penetrated the sea, shooting like a bullet between the keel spear's teeth, striking the tender insides of its throat. Screaming, the keel spear recoiled. Shaking its massive head, it veered away, disappearing into the darkness. Under the protection of Titan's fins, Frank gasped as Julie embraced him tightly. Her tears still streaming into the sea, she whispered, "I'm so sorry." As Blue and Kieran swam up beside them, Frank held Julie even closer. Inclining his head towards them, he said, "Blue, Kieran." After a moment's hesitation, he added, "Thank you." Kieran's face was set as he nodded in acknowledgement. "'Tis the duty I live for," he replied. Julie's eyes narrowed as she studied the pair. Something was off about them, but she couldn't tell what. She searched their faces for clues and then remembered what was happening. Did Emerald have her baby? Is she okay? Emerald is fine, but the child is not. Dread pooled in Julie's stomach. What's the matter? Kieran wouldn't meet her gaze. The babe liveth, but the lass is a landwalker.